Good morning. I'm Claire Schleicher, she, her, and I serve on the board of directors. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youth, adults, and children of many diverse theologies held together by covenant, not creed. Thank you for coming into church today. Will you turn to your neighbor and say thank you for coming to church today? All right, chatty group this morning. I love this energy. Welcome to any visitors here today. We are all so glad that you're here. May you find deep welcome and belonging here in this place. We will be offering a 12-minute intro and tour immediately following the service. So after the service, please find Margie and Lisa over here by the fabric wall. To share a request for today's meditation, please place it in the chat box or add it to the meditation bowl before the opening hymn. Please gain consent before you use someone's full name. The meditation bowl is right over here by our Soul Work Center area. Our pastoral care team is making themselves available after both services over the next few Sundays for anyone who's in need of some in-the-moment crisis care. If you're going through something challenging and need a listening ear and support, please find them in the Emerson alcove, which is down past the restrooms in the beautiful room there in the corner with the windows out looking into the woods. So it's really a nice, quiet place to visit. Here at our church, we do offer spiritual growth opportunities for our children and youth during our 11 a.m. service. But today, we're all staying in the service together for a multi-generational experience. Woo! So with that, we welcome the noises and movements and joy that your little ones bring. We still have nursery care available for those under 3. So please see Matt Thielen if you have any questions. Let's take a moment to wave to those who are attending online. Our services go about 60 to 75 minutes long. If you need to leave before then, feel free. For those still in the room, please join us for social hour after the service, straight across the hall in the social hall. Welcome to our church. Together, we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Do not leave your cares at the doors. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. Bring your pain and sorrow and joy. There's a place for them upon the altar of life. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. This is a place of grace, a place of losing and finding your way, a
Amen. I'm Reverend Jessica Clay, and I'm the lead minister here, and my pronouns are she, her. Let's take a breath together as we receive these call to worship words written by Reverend Rebecca Edmiston Lang that we say each week. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
My name is Heather Olsentro, and my pronouns are she, her. I will be honest, this holiday season, my inclination is to hibernate. My family relationships can be fraught at times. I don't want to read the news or hear the awful things that are going on every day. I feel a sense of impending doom, and I want to hide from everything and everyone and just stay in my pajamas and watch Christmas fireplace videos on YouTube. Others in my life are much more hopeful and resilient. They're preparing to fight and persevere. They're saying things to me like, "We'll get through this. Local government is more impactful to our daily lives. Hang in there. Don't give up." And I know I can't give up. I have 3 kids. We have a lot of life left to live. But putting on a brave face for them and continuing to go about our daily lives feels all but impossible some days. Sometimes I feel so drained and full of despair that I can't stop crying. Maybe you can relate, or maybe you are one of the amazing people carrying the torch of hope for me while I feel too scared and sad to do so. Either way, it feels very challenging to try and have a hopeful holiday season, to try to give my kids a special Christmas, and to look certain family members in the eye when I know that ideologically we're not on the same page, or even just look past some of the major disagreements we've had. Can I continue to be in a community with them? The best solutions I've come up with to try to combat my hopelessness are to get back to nature. Running outdoors is my chance to be with the natural rhythms of the world. My family and a number of our friends are going to pack meals for Feed My Starving Children next week. This felt particularly necessary as we are preparing to celebrate a food holiday where our table will be full of rich, delicious dishes. And I'm preparing for a special session of Christmas homeschool with my kids, in which we will read about the holiday as it's celebrated all around the world and bake traditional cookies and dishes from those countries. It will be a time of mindfulness and coziness, where the focus will be on the simple joys of reading books and doing crafts together. We will take things one day at a time. We will practice gratitude and generosity. And then After the holidays, in the uncertainty and chaos of next year, we will continue those practices. Cherish each other, find ways to help, breathe with the trees. Let us light the chalice today for the chance to be with the ones we love and practice gratitude each day, one day at a time. Please join us for the opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
Please rise and body your spirit for the singing of our first hymn, which is number 1010 in your teal hymnal. We give thanks. We give thanks for this precious day, for our gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for our gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Friends, we have blessings of abundance this morning and people still looking for seats. So if you have space next to you, if you could move in towards the middle to allow for people to come in and sit on the ends, thank you.
Today, we have the great privilege to dedicate some of the children into this community and to dedicate ourselves to nurture and care for these young people and their families. Will the families and any godparents present come forward with your little ones?
Good morning. We gather, I need a mic too. Do you have another mic? Thank you. We gather today to give our welcome, thanks, and support in an act of dedication for these children. Yes? Yes. All right. Oh, you're ready. Y'all are caffeinated, aren't you? I can see it. I can see it. What is this child's name, and what do you call them?
This is Winter Kellerman Wells, our daughter. We call you Winter, sometimes Squinter.
Wonderful. And what is this child's name, and what do you call them?
This child is Wilder. Kellerman Wells, and we call him Wilder.
Wonderful. Okay. We're still figuring this out. So I'm going to bless each of you one at a time. And so Winter, sometimes known as Squinter, I bless your head that you may have a curious mind that seeks knowledge in the world. I bless your eyes, I'm not going to touch them, that they may look upon beauty wherever they see, and beauty to be a balm against the hurts of the world. I bless your hands. May they do the work of justice making, of caring and nurturing for yourself and others in the world, exploring what it means to be alive. I bless your heart. May it know how loved you are and how beloved you are, and bring that love into being in the world. And I bless your feet. Rocking some Converse. I bless these feet that they may take you on journeys that you can't even imagine, and always remind you that you can come back home. And Wilder, I'm going to do the same thing for you, okay? I bless your head, that you may seek and find knowledge in the world, that you may know what is right and true. I bless your eyes, that you may look upon beauty and know it to be a balm against the injustices of the world. I bless your hands, that they may do the work of caring for yourself and your family and those you love. I bless your heart, that you may know how loved you are and spread that love out in the world. And I bless your feet, that they may take you on adventures and always bring you back home. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to give you each. We're working on it. Okay. What is this child's name that I am resisting just holding? And what do you call them? Because so squishy.
This is also Wilder Dave, and depending on the day, we call him Stinky, Wile E. Coyote.
Oh, Stinky, stop it.
And if he's having a meltdown, he's Chernobyl.
Oh, little buddy. If you're having a meltdown, just tell your parents, bring him to me. Hi, little bud. Okay. 2 Wilders today. This is unprecedented. Oops, sorry. 5-second. Wilder. Hello, buddy. Hello. Hello. We bless your head as you discover what it means to be in the world. May you know knowledge and truth and how loved you are. I bless your eyes that they may look upon beauty. Yes, and that beauty you see and the divine you see in your parents. I bless your hands. Yeah. As they do the work of exploring and finding yourself in the world, may they hold other hands and do the work of caring for yourself. Yes. Oh my gosh, stop it. Anyone else's heart exploding? Okay. I bless your heart. May you know how loved you are, and may you share that love with the world. And I bless these tiny, tiny little feet that won't always be tiny. May they take you on adventures and always bring you back home. I will give that.
Parents, these beloveds are not only your children, but also the children of life itself. You hold the sacred joy and privilege of guiding them through all of life's twists and turns and teaching them to recognize their own path. So do you promise to hold on to the hope along with us that they will find their own truth and live their life according to their spiritual ideals? If so, respond, we do. And do you also promise to the best of your ability by your example, your teaching, and your affection to raise these children in the ways of truth, beauty, and love? And godparent, do you also promise to support and nurture this child's growth?
As Unitarian Universalists, we understand that it is the role of all of us to help nurture and care for these beloveds. We are all companions on the same journey, and we are made better by journeying together in community. Yes? Yes. Congregation, do you welcome with warmth and joy Winter, Wilder, and Wilder? Yes. Will you please rise in body or spirit and read the response in the order of service? with wonder at the miracle of life.
We welcome these children with joy and embrace them as members of this community. We pledge our support to their parents, recognizing that we all have the power and responsibility to shape their world. May love's blessing rest on you now and always. May you know this congregation and this faith as your home.
May you know this congregation and this faith as your home.
Beloveds, Wilder, Wilder Winter, we welcome you. May you never unlearn your sweet gentleness. May you remember who you are, beloved child of love. May you win no victory that harms either yourself or another. May you ask for forgiveness openly and grant it often. May it be so.
And will the congregation please say, welcome, Winter, Wilder, and Wilder.
Welcome, Winter, Wilder, and Wilder.
I know, right? It is. Welcome. Welcome. Do you want to hug? Hug her. Welcome. Do you want to hug? Okay. Welcome. You're part of this too now. Welcome, little buddy. Yeah. All right. You may be seated, and you can all go back to your seats. Did you get any generating prayers? And so now we make space to name the prayers of this community. Make space to name what is making our hearts break and what is bringing joy. With about 150 people in the room and 26 households online, let's take a breath together. I invite you to settle into your seat, to cast your eyes down or close them, maybe look out the window. Take a moment to center yourself here. We make space to name the prayers of this community. We hold in care the Barrett-Wick family as Norm's beloved aunt, Audrey, started her hospice journey yesterday. We hold the memories of a member's brother, Dan Perfect, in our hearts this holiday season. May Dan's memory be a blessing. We send healing to Colleen after some recent health struggles. We hold with care neighbors who are missing a beloved family pet. May he return home safe and healthy. We hold in care Sean, who lost his precious companion, Felix the cat, this week. We hold in care Joanna Eccles' dad, Joe, who's recovering from surgery. Prayers of recovery so he can go home from the hospital. And we also hold in care our employee, our staff member who is in charge of the nursery, Jenna Weber, who broke her foot this past week and is out for the month of December. We send healing prayers and care her way. And we know our hearts are big enough to hold the ways that they are breaking and the joys. And so we celebrate Kate and John's 45th wedding anniversary. And we celebrate with members who are moving into their first home together. Now is time where you can name the prayers on your heart this morning. Our prayer this morning is adapted from words by Reverend Connie Simon. Spirit of life, there is so much that has broken our hearts this year. We've had our hearts broken by the wars in the Ukraine, Gaza, and the Sudan. We grieve the loss of so many lives. We lift up the lives lost during this week of Transgender Day of Remembrance, and we pray to continue to do the work of welcoming and working for justice for our trans beloveds. This year, many have been distressed by economic uncertainty and with financial struggles. Many have been racked by political divisiveness that has torn apart families and friendships. We've been troubled by racial injustice and prejudice that continues to divide us at a time when we need one another more than ever. We are tired, and still we are grateful. A purple and pink sky at twilight with a burning sun setting behind dry, wintry stalks of grain. Grateful for the earth that produces the food we eat. Grateful for the hands that grow it, tend it, deliver it, and prepare it. Grateful for the warmth of the sun and shelter from the cold. Grateful for those who work to heal our illnesses and our broken hearts. Grateful for the nourishment of this chosen family at our church. Grateful for our families and friends, even though we may find ourselves apart this Thanksgiving. Grateful for one another, and the opportunity to begin again in love, to address our differences and mend our relationships. Grateful for the gift of life itself. We are grateful. Amen.
You may remain seated for the singing of our second hymn, which is number 1031 in your teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness.
Before we take this morning's offering, we have a few community announcements. There will be an introductory session of the grief group happening today from 12:30 to 2 p.m. If you are experiencing bereavement or complicated grief, please consider attending. And to talk to Reverend Jack if you have any questions. We will not be offering dinner or programming this Wednesday night, and the building will be closed this Wednesday night and the building through Friday. So don't come here on Thanksgiving. It'll be closed. But please join us next Sunday, December 1st, for our guest preacher, Reverend Karen Hutt. And now we have an announcement from our auction co-chairs, Melva and Jean.
That means we're done, right?
Well, here we are again. So, the updates on the auction, well, actually, the countdown is on. It's 11:33. The auction will open for bidding in 27 minutes.
And we have a huge thank you for you all. Last Sunday at this time, our auction catalog had 80 items. Today, the auction catalog has
207 and one in the wings.
For number nerds, you, not, whatever. That's 2.5 times the number of donations.
So we'd like to give you a hand. Thank you for supporting this congregation. But now, if it's great to have all these donations, but we have to actually sell them. So that's where you come in, and in a minute, we're going to have the website up. You're familiar with, we've been telling you about it, and the address is also on the wrap. And since this is the last Sunday in November, I think it's fine if you take them home with you. Let's see, do you want to go over so you can see what's going on? Or do you want to give me the mic?
Why should I start now? Okay, introduction to the site, because we have so many items there. They're sorted into 9-ish categories.
How about if I just grab this, you get this?
Yeah, and you go over.
Okay, so I can see what we're doing.
Yeah, it's like, it is a problem. Okay, so the items that we have listed, or the categories, are apparel and accessories, arts and craftsmanship, classes, workshops, and cultural experiences, favorite pastimes and family fun, feasts and comfort food, friends helping friends, health, wellness, and relaxation, home and garden, and only at WBUUC.
And can we just feature something there? We have a sermon of your choice with both of our reverends, and something that I see Russell back there on the council. Russell came up with an idea that, parking can be an issue. I really had a hard time finding a place to park this morning. But if you are the winning bidder on That's My Spot, you will have a designated spot in the parking lot for the rest of the year.
Well, we're not saying which parking spot. We're still toying with the idea of the higher the bid, the better the spot.
All right, but now if you look at that, can you just put that down a little bit, Aaron? So up at the top, there should be a place where there should be a little star right there. So as you're looking through the catalog, any of the things, the hundreds of items to choose from, if you're having a hard time, you can star them. And then on that drop-down menu where you saw the categories, you could also just look at the items you've starred. and go through and make your choice. There will be it will show you the value of the item, the starting bid, and the bid increment. And you can put in your bids. If you get outbid, you'll get a text message or an email that tells you if you want that item, you have to go back and bid again. It's kind of a fun thing to do. And if you have any more questions about how this works, Melvin and I will be out in the social hall afterwards.
Yep. Let's do this.
Twice a month, we send our collection out the door to a local nonprofit organization. But the other Sundays, the money collected stays right here to help us meet the mission and vision of this church. You can donate in the baskets that will be passed around, or by donating on the website, or by using the text to give feature that is printed in the order of service and in the chat box. However you give, thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together.
Our Thanksgiving bread ritual today comes to us from the Reverend Sherry Prudhomme. Some of you might remember it. We did it last year as well. If you're watching online, you're invited to get a piece of bread or a cracker to participate. The ritual of breaking bread together is one that has been shared by the human family in various forms for millennia, giving thanks for the harvest, a prayer that the earth will sustain life once again. In the Christian tradition, the disciples broke bread together during a Passover meal, remembering an escape to freedom on the eve of a crucifixion, when yet another imperial ruling power was asserting its dominance through violence. They broke bread together in the depth of their grief and fear, asserting that the forces of empire, violence, and evil would not extinguish the forces of life and love.
Many of our partner Unitarian churches in Transylvania hold a communion of remembrance 4 times a year: Christmas, Easter, Pentecost, and Thanksgiving, celebrated as a religious holiday in September there. Our congregation practices a free and open communion. Everyone here is invited to participate without reservation. And so it is that we come to gather around this table, our communion table. This ritual connects us in ways that we can only begin to know through time and space, to our history, to all the people who have looked into each other's eyes across this table through the years, to the earth and to the cycle of life. This morning we're going to do bread communion a little differently, because the times we're living in call for new ways to lean into the depths of ancient ritual.
In a moment, we will pass baskets of bread among you. This bread was made with care by Carol Upham, who I know is on Zoom. So can we all say thank you, Carol? Thank you, Carol. Carol made the gluten-full bread. The gluten-free bread was made by other hands. So you're invited to take a piece of bread, but please don't eat it immediately. So are you going to eat the bread immediately? No. Good. If you need gluten-free bread, please raise your hand and one will make its way to you. So if anyone needs gluten-free, just raise your hands, and Jack and Heather are passing around those baskets, and then the basket that's just, the general basket is gluten, and then and then you can just pass the gluten through each section. And I invite us to just hold the space in silence as we pass the bread. And as you're holding your piece of bread, look around you, look across the room from you. Let us know ourselves as one body. We're still passing some bread out. Who still needs bread? Hands up. Sometimes we get 2 pieces of bread, and that's fine. Look around the room. Look at our gathered collective beauty all together. Let us know ourselves as one body, a body broken in our humanness, complicit in and impacted by systems of oppression that were established long before any of us were born. Broken-hearted as our compassion leads us to feel our suffering and that of others. In a moment, the bowl will sound, and I invite you to break your bread, and with it, allow your heart to break open. Break the bread, but do not eat it. Hold the broken bread and notice what wells up in your broken heart in this moment, in this month, in this year. In our shared silence, allow a word or phrase to come to you that gives voice to some of the grief, fear, pain, or suffering in your heart. In a moment, we will ring the bell a second time, and you'll be invited to speak this word or phrase that gives voice to some of the grief, fear, pain, or suffering in your heart out into our shared sacred space, allowing words to tumble over words, trusting the community that is larger than any one of us to hold it all. And if you're watching online, you can share in the chat.
In the space of our community gathered in this semicircle, having given voice to our grief and pain, let us notice the larger forces that hold us. The earth, its large body, which sustains us and gives us life. The floor, walls, and roof of this building, crafted with care from some of the trees that were felled right here on this very spot. The ultimate mystery, the source and sustenance of all creation that some call God, the abiding force of love that holds us and will never let us go. There is so much for us to be grateful for. So much love and care, passion and dedication right here in this circle. Our life together as a community is a blessing, and each of us is a tapestry woven of experiences and understandings for which we can be grateful. In a moment, the bowl will sound again, and you're invited into a time of meditation. Hold your piece of bread and look at it closely. See the miracle of it, made from earth and water, warmed by fire. As you notice the texture and smell of the bread, let into your awareness your own gratitude for all that gives you life and sustains you. What do you have to be grateful for in this moment, in this week, this month, this year? If you wish, allow a word or phrase to form that gives voice to that gratitude. In a moment, we'll hear the bell ring again, and you'll be invited to speak out loud that word or phrase of gratitude into this shared space, again, allowing words to tumble over words, trusting that they'll be held in the great web of all existence. If you're watching online, again, you're free to name them in the chat. But speak out loud those words or phrases now.
Having honored both our grief and our gratitude in this circle, we now partake of this nourishment. After you eat your bread, you're invited to look into one another's faces and see there the brokenness and the blessing, the reflection of our common humanity, to eat of the fruit of the vine, to be nourished, to notice once again the forces of life and love that persist. And as you eat your bread in silence while meditating on the broken and whole parts of yourselves, holding gratitude within our hearts for this complicated and beautiful world.
After eating this bread, may we remember that not everyone has the strength of community nor nourishment for their hearts and their bodies. We eat this bread knowing that some people are not welcome at their family table this Thanksgiving, that for some the holidays can be an incredibly painful time. We eat this bread remembering that our shared values call us to continue to widen the circle of welcome in our families, at our tables, and here in this congregation. Now you're invited to feel deep within your heart what it means to be grounded in community. As our theme this month is repair, may you notice those connections and be present to all that is broken and whole. We give thanks for this nourishment and for this community which helps us to hold this complex life.
Amen. Thank you, choir. Whew. Thank you for that reminder of our shared humanity, that reminder that we are not alone. This community right here is chosen family. Even if you are visiting for the first time today, you are part of this family, yes? Yes. The people next to you in the pews that chose to come to this place today, the people online, of which there are 24 households online, they are still choosing community, the people online, even though we don't see them. The people next to you in the pews are choosing community, this chosen family that says we're all connected, we are one, and you are welcome here. Come and be present and be changed in the process, an unfolding, a tuning into what's true, what is good, and what calls your heart to soften and be curious. Everything feels a bit more tender right now, a bit more raw, a bit closer to the bone as we head into this Thanksgiving week. The rift that divides so many within this country continues. The rift of voting values, the ways that we are separated and divided is palpable. And for some, the thought of this week is not one of stress. They know who's around their table, they have people around their table, they're comfortable with those people, they have shared values. But for others, the thought of sitting across from a beloved family member who voted differently from them or being surrounded by a majority of people who have different values can bring up feelings of dread and a sense of resignation. Is that resonating with anyone here? And what's true is that we make up stories in our heads about how narratives are going to go, and sometimes they are validated. And sometimes, if we're open and curious, there's room for possibility. Local poet and organizer Ricardo Levins Morales says one of the most important insights that cultural organizing has brought to the movement struggle is the idea that the soil is more important than the seeds. Almost anything will grow in rich, nutritious soil, whereas it's hard to get anything to grow if the soil is barren, toxic, and won't hold moisture. He says the seeds are our projects, our initiatives, our campaigns, our organizations, our institutions that we want to build. The soil is the compost of beliefs, ideas, values, and narratives that create the environment in which we're working. We love our compost, don't we? I mean, that's like the 9th principle. We love compost. Therefore, the soil that allowed the seeds in this last election to bear fruit, that soil was laid a long time ago. That soil was laid in the 80s and 90s with some of the narratives that we've heard that have continued. That soil is continued by certain news organizations that twist the news to share one narrative That is what allowed those seeds to grow. And we come here to this progressive faith community to question, to interrogate what our compost is made of, and to continue to add to it and notice what's causing it to grow rancid or not allow things to grow, and to mitigate that. And we're here to develop a groundwork to go out into the world, to bring change out into the world and in our own lives. Therefore, the soil that we're cultivating right now, the stories that we're telling, are worth looking into. A few weeks ago, that Sunday after the election, I told you you don't have to go out and immediately be kind to everyone. Everyone remember that? Now, remember, I wasn't saying to go out and be rude, but this feeling that we immediately have to just jump over our feelings of grief and despair and righteous anger and resignation to spreading kindness in the world is one way we don't tune into our own feelings. So I hope that you've taken these past couple of weeks and tuned in, checked in with your heart, practiced your spiritual practices, and practiced doing the work of healing, of deep care. As we move through these last 6 weeks of 2024 and into all of the unknowns of 2025 and beyond, I invite you to notice what you are cultivating right now, what you're cultivating in your soil that will support or inhibit growth, to observe what your compost of beliefs, ideas, values, and narratives say, and how they are supporting or inhibiting you and your place in this interdependent web. When we invite curiosity into our own narratives, we allow space for possibility. And we are a faith that calls people to question, that's constantly changing and being transformed, that allows room for growth and becoming, an interwoven web that has changed and responded to the needs of our people over time. Unitarian minister and transcendentalist James Freeman Clarke was ahead of his time in many ways. He was progressive for 1840s progressive, just to put it in a... So does anyone know how churches were funded in Boston in the 1840s? You rented a pew. So your family rented a pew, and that was your pew, and it had your name on it. Some of the churches there still have names on the pews. And that meant if you were a visitor, you weren't sitting in that pew. Or if you couldn't afford a pew, you weren't sitting in that pew. Communion was only given to members of the church. And James Freeman Clarke saw the ways these practices weren't welcoming to people of different class status and to visitors. He opened a church in Boston called the Church of the Disciples. There were 700 people in attendance every Sunday. And the church was, shocker alert, funded by pledges, much like our churches today, and people could sit anywhere they wanted. Can you believe that? He encouraged social reform. He said the church was a community. You didn't just come on Sunday. These ideas were different then. Now we know this, right? He involved the congregation in shared ministry in a way that hadn't been done thus far. And one of his most famous quotes was from 1885, from his 5 points of new theology that were directly speaking against the 5 points of Calvinism, of which I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those today. That's a sermon for another time. But his 5 points of new theology summarized commonly held Unitarian beliefs of the late 19th century. Fatherhood of God, brotherhood of man, leadership of Jesus, salvation by character, and the continuity of human development in all worlds, or the progress of mankind onward and upward forever. So this progress of mankind onward and upward forever, it's one of those famous UU quotes, this striving, it's a very Unitarian belief. The Unitarians believed that life was transformed by good works, salvation by character that he also mentions, and this theory of the progress of humankind onward and upward forever sounds pretty good, right? Except it's present in a lot of themes of colonization and assimilation of cultures within the US, and that theory of the great melting pot that caused so much harm. And when we're attached to a goal of the progress of humankind onward and upward forever, We tend to not notice the soil under our feet, the possibilities of now, of being present. And so here we are in 2024, struggling with what it means to have supposed to have been on a more onward and upward place, but instead having half the country feeling like we're striving towards some way we were, and the other half feeling like we're never going to get where we dream of being. And we gather at our tables and we break bread, broken and whole, with many things unsaid, our hearts heavy and aching, seeking to find that common humanity, seeking to be reminded of the good that is inherent within each person, because that is what is true. We, as Unitarian Universalists, believe in the inherent dignity and worth of every person. And if you forget, I'm reminding you of that right now. Our capacity for love and kindness and respect is great. Therefore, if you haven't reached out to that family member or the friend or the neighbor of differing values yet, I hope as you do your work, you will remember our shared humanity. Do not let this election cause you to close off your heart to humanity, to our interdependence, because this estrangement where each person is at an impasse and this underlying theme of progress, of where we had hoped to be, of disappointment, of grief and anger, that gets activated every time I open the New York Times. It's easiest to take out on the people that are closest in our circles. Remember, we need each other. And to keep our hearts open to possibilities, this is our task as people of faith. The book I'm reading for our book discussion next month on December the 12th, there's 2 of them left at the bookstall, is Mushroom at the End of the World on the Possibility of Life in Capitalist Ruins by Anna Lowenhaupt Singh. And this book is fascinating and details how the Mahtomedi mushroom, has anyone heard of these mushrooms? They're the most valuable mushroom in the world. They grow where destruction has been made. This answers the question of what manages to live in post-industrialization, post-human destruction, and what possibilities are there. The book invites us to imagination about what is possible. Anna Singh begins with an invitation to resist the urge to cite progress as the end goal, as the only possible positive outcome. She invites us to embrace the uncertainty of what is now, to be open to possibilities. So these Mahtomedi mushrooms cannot be grown in any lab. They require red pine, which many consider to be a weed. They cannot be planted. And they grow in abundance in the Pacific Northwest, where logging in the late 20th century decimated forests. And this soil, this land that logging companies abandoned, is now growing possibilities, with people of many cultures depending on that growth to make their living. They've learned to look closely at the land, to seek and to be present to what others wouldn't have dreamed of. And therefore, we can look at our own soil and know if we're doing our own work, we're keeping our hearts open to possibility. Destruction has happened, it will continue to happen, and there are still possibilities, but those possibilities happen in relationship, in community. So my take-home message today, my last point for you, is about dependent co-arising. This central tenet of Buddhism, this theory of dependent co-arising, means that everything is dependent on each other, that we are interdependent and interrelated, that something always happens as a result of something else. Nothing exists independently. Nothing exists independently. And multiple things can be true at once. For example, these mushrooms are very pungent. To some, they smell like vomit. To others, they smell like the most savory thing on the planet, depending on your culture and depending on how they've been prepared. These mushrooms that grow out of devastation remind us of possibility of our interdependence. Multiple things true at once. There are some things that are known right now, and we have a tendency to spend a lot of time on the unknown that causes anxiety. And one of our tasks, one of our invitations is to keep our hearts open to what may emerge that we haven't yet thought of, that is in the process of co-arising alongside of us, that is changed by us being in relationship together within our own personal lives, within this community, within this nation, within this planet. None of us exist independently. We are interwoven and a part of each other. There are some things that are true, no matter how presidential elections go. What is true is that we are still connected, we are still a shared humanity, and we are still responsible for each other. That siblinghood of all people that James Freeman Clark meant, that still calls us to each other. We are one. That is still true, even though there are political divides that separate us. Both of these things can be true at once. And our invitation this week, this holiday season, these last 6 months of 2024, our invitation is to notice what is in the soil we are cultivating. What we're making space for. Are we adding enough to keep it balanced, to ground ourselves in the present as we prepare for the future? We are each other's chosen family, yes? Yes. And together we cultivate the soil of possibility even amidst devastation and ruin. Life is possible, connection is possible, love and joy is possible. Today you ate bread that was grown in soil that is a part of our planet, that was nourished by the sun, that was needed by our common humanity. We are connected. You are not alone, and we will make it through this together. Remember this, dear ones, and lean on each other when you forget. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 1021, Lean on Me. And when Bill Withers wrote it, he used the term brother. You're welcome to use that or use sibling.
If you are singing along with the hymnal, we'll be singing the first 2 verses of this before moving on to the end of the song. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need tomorrow. For no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on your brother when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. Just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
We all need somebody to lean on. We are all interdependent, co-arising next to each other. No one gets through this alone. May you remember that as you go forth from this place. May you be that in the world as you go forth from this place. Will you turn to your neighbor and thank them for co-arising next to you this morning and invite them to coffee hour?